Welcome to the Hobbyist Novice. We have a very special guest with us today. Very excited to have one of the great Star Wars Unlimited artists with us today. I don't even want to waste any time. If you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone, tell us a little bit about background about yourself, your career, and how you got to Star Wars Unlimited.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Aitor Prieto, and I am an artist from Barcelona. I am currently living in Australia. And yeah, I am one of the artists of Star Wars Unlimited. If you have seen any of my cards in the game, you will see that the style is like a little bit cartoonish, but with a focus on light and contrast and colors. And well, about my background, uh, what can I say? Well, I was one of those kids that spent all the time drawing, instead of playing sports. I was that fat kid in the corner drawing and playing Pokemon. So yeah, I spent all my childhood and when I was a teenager doing that, just drawing because it was my main hobby. So when I had the chance to decide what kind of career I wanted to do, I just said, okay, let's keep drawing. So I studied a bachelor degree in arts, and after that I studied a high educational degree in arts in and illustration. And well, it was then when I saw that it wasn't all about anime and manga. There were many other styles and artworks that were really, really interesting. So I decided to explore and to find my own way. After studying the art degree, well, I was really afraid because everyone tells you that it's impossible to work as an artist because it's really difficult and you are not going to be well paid and all this stuff. So I was really, really scared and I was obsessed in finding a job. So I found job. I started to working as a freelance, and at the beginning, you usually do like a small commissions and jobs, and that just last like a couple of days. But at some point, you find better job. I started working as a um, children books illustrator. I spent 3 years illustrating books. And after that, I changed a little bit the path and I decided to get into the amusement parks.
Oh,
Like,
nice.
yeah, that's I mean, I wasn't there like in a roller coaster all day. I was designing the mascots and
That's
environments.
awesome.
Well, I went to the park once and I tried the roller coasters, but it was just one day. I spent 3 years doing that and they offered me well a project that I wasn't really interested into it because it was against my morals, but well, that is another story. So I decided to change again my career and I started doing concept art for video games. I spent 5 years working for a company based in Madrid, Tequila Works, and it was then when I was contacted by Fantasy Flight to start working with them. At first with a couple of projects, Keyforge and Arkham Horror, and after that with Star Wars Unlimited.
That's awesome. Yeah, quite a journey for sure.
Yeah.
Everyone's very excited, I'm
Yeah.
sure, to see everything you brought. Star Wars Unlimited has been great. So much great stuff that you put out there. We have
Thank
Greedo,
you.
Yoda, Jabba, Salacious Crumb. The new It's a Trap card that we saw just come out about a week ago
Ah,
when
yes.
recording this. That was so cool. And I mean, you've had
Thank you.
so many cards going into it. What's been your favorite card to put together so far?
Oh, that's a difficult question, because all of them are my babies, and I appreciate them all. But my favorite one, I think I mean, this is typical, because it's a classic character, but it was Yoda. It's like the main one.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it was really fun to do because I was waiting to do it because since the earliest beginning of the project, I was thinking, I want to draw Yoda at some point because luckily I always get commissioned to do monsters and aliens. I love that, so I can't complain. And Yoda is like the main one, the most interesting character for me.
Oh, that's awesome. And we do have a couple cards today that you did put out for Star Wars
Yes.
Limited, the newest set coming out, Jump to Lightspeed. So let's talk about those a little bit. So let's pop up the first one that we're going to look at is Frisk. You want to talk a little bit about Frisk? And talk about like your process of when you're creating these new cards. What is that like for you?
Okay. To work in this, well, it's pretty smooth. It's really cool to work with Fantasy Flight because they have a really good art directors and they have a really good process. So it's really easy to work with them. And usually I receive a briefing and well, I have like a little description about the card and then a little bit of well, they send me like a description of the mood and the character and several references. After that, I have to do a sketch, like just to figure out how it's gonna be and about the composition. Then, when this sketch is approved, I can go for a work in progress. That it's just about representing the colors and the lighting in a really rough version. And if this is approved, I can go to the final art. And it's always really smooth, as I said, and it's really easy to work with them. Yeah.
That's awesome. And for yourself, I mean, do you typically end up doing a bunch of iterations once you get that prompt of what you're looking to create? What is that process like of coming up with what you consider to be the perfect final iteration?
Well, to be honest, when I start illustrating a card, I have a pretty clear idea of what I want, and I usually go straight to the point. So yeah, for me, it's like pretty clear how it's gonna be like the final iteration of it.
Gotcha. Now we can talk about the card real quick as we have it popped up here. It is a 2 cost. Piloting, when played as an upgrade, you may defeat an upgrade that costs 2 or less. A New Republic pilot Frisk. Awesome art for it. One of the great things too I love about Star Wars Unlimited is we have our regular cards that we have up on the screen here, and then eventually you'll see the hyperspace version of it too, because obviously if you're creating these pieces, you're only seeing in the regular card version just a little box of it. So, which is really cool to see that you get the hyperspace version and see your full art piece that you put together for this.
Yeah, it's interesting because these cards have a lot of bleed that we say, all the part that is gonna be cut off of the composition. And usually you just give a couple of strokes on these areas because it's not gonna be seen. But if you are gonna have an hyperspace version, it's gonna be seen at some point, so you have to work on these areas as well.
They look great. I mean, I love the hyperspace cards so much and what they've done with these. I'll pull up a second card here too. 2 reveals to you from Aitor. We have Fight Fire with Fire. 1 call.
All right.
Choose a friendly unit and an enemy unit in the same arena. If you do, deal 3 damage to each of them. Let's talk about Fight Fire with Fire a little bit. Talk about the process of that one, what you were looking for.
Yeah, it's interesting because both reveals are about reptiles, right?
Yeah.
We have 2 lizards. That's funny. So yeah, about this one, I will say that this one is interesting because it's a character that I made up. It's not a famous character or something that exists in the saga, and it's always amazing to do something like this because you get like several references and some information about the alien race. Like I think this guy race is Trandoshan or something like that. Well, the lizard guy, and you have references about the clothes or the mood, but you can be pretty creative about the appeal. And that's interesting because even though it's just like a small frame in a card, you are giving your own perspective to the Star Wars universe, and I love that. I love when I can be creative and do something different. So yeah, this card, Fight Fire with Fire, it's not about the character, it's just about the action. It's an execution, right? But well, it's an opportunity to create something at your own.
Yeah, that's great. That was actually one of my questions too, because I was trying to say, I wasn't sure if it was Bosk or like another type of character. That's really cool.
Another one.
Completely original character that you created. That's awesome to get to have that creativity. to bring your own twist into the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, that's I feel really lucky about that. Yeah, it's like a dream come true, even though it's a small character, but I don't know. You can be yourself with it.
And actually, I kind of want to touch on It's a Trap too. I know it was just announced, not revealing exclusively here, but one that was just released too. So how cool was it to get to do It's a Trap? I mean, that card looks
Well,
absolutely amazing. Like,
yeah. When I read the name, it was like, oh, this is perfect. I can do like a meme, but in a card. It's just hilarious. It's perfect. Yeah, I enjoyed that one really, really much. Yeah, it was good to do that.
yeah, I can't
And
wait to see the hyperspace version of that one.
yeah, yeah, it was fun because, well, the original scene, well, it's with uh, puppet. It's all makeup, and the expressivity of the character is not like really exaggerated. But since this is a drawing, you can make it even more exaggerated. So I decided to make it like looking in front to the camera with a crazy expression, with the mouth and the crazy eyes, and
It
it was
looks
fun.
so good. It's so cool. I actually like looking at all the different cards that you have put forth so far. That actually might be my favorite. Like I can't. It's so awesome. You did such a good job on that card. And now, and kind of just talking about, like you were saying, putting your own twist in the Star Wars universe. You're getting to put forth all these iconic characters that have been, whether it be movies, books, TV. What's that
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
for you getting to put like your own imprint on these characters that have been beloved for decades at this point?
Yeah, it feels good. At first, I felt the pressure, because when you start doing something like that, but not just in this project, I always feel the pressure when I start something new. But as you said, all those characters are iconic, are beloved. And the first time, I think one of the first that I was commissioned was Jabba the Hutt. And I mean, it's pretty iconic. And it was such a challenge to do it and make it fit in the world project. But even though I could feel some pressure at first, I felt also pretty comfortable because, as I said, it's really easy to work with Fantasy Flight, and we have several filters in order to make them fit in the Star Wars universe. We have, of course, our own filters because we want to do it as better as possible. But we also have the Fantasy Flight filters and the Lucasfilm filters.
Right.
So you can be pretty sure that at the end, it's going to be like a Star Wars character because there is a lot of people taking care of it.
Gotcha. And I mean, you talk about that pressure too. It's like I can only imagine. So when you're putting these characters together, like you're saying, you have that pressure. How do you deal with that pressure?
Yeah, uh, at first, I just said, okay, uh, I mean, I'm being hired to do this job, so that means that I can do it. I did it before, and I know that it's not gonna be, well, I always think it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be done. It's important just to have this goal of finishing it and try to do your best. And of course, you cannot do like a masterpiece every time, but you can make sure that you are taking steps into being better, into improve. So for me, it's important just to try to do it and try to put all my effort in doing it well. But after that, I try to just forget about it and to go to the next step. Yeah, and I don't feel that pressure anymore because I've done many and many of them. So for me now, it's like kind of my comfort zone to do this project. So I I'm actually really excited every time that I receive a commission and a new alien to draw.
Oh, that's fantastic. It just out of curiosity, what was the first card that you did illustrate for the set?
It was like 4 years ago, so it's hard to remember. But I remember that I received a commission of 3 cards, and I think that the first ones were uh, Syndicate Enforcer, I think is the name. Well,
Okay.
this guy, uh, this one.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And also Java, the Hat, and Guido, I think.
That's
Yeah,
yeah. Greedo's one of the ones I was going to bring up too. I absolutely love the art you did with Greedo. One I get to use in my deck too, so that's pretty cool.
thanks. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, you've put together some great pieces. And now looking, there's so many characters in the Star Wars universe. Is there a certain character you hope to have the opportunity to get to illustrate for Star Wars Unlimited?
Well, I've done many of them, so now I'm pretty chill. It's like, okay, I've done everything that I wanted to do, so I don't have like any goal to do like any kind of specific character. I just waiting to see what's the next one.
That's awesome. You've done such a good job. Really excited to get to have a couple minutes of your time today to talk about your cards, your illustrations. Again, you put together so many great ones. We didn't even talk about Chewbacca. Like the Chewbacca card you did was absolutely fantastic as well.
Thank
I
you.
can only
Yeah,
imagine it's so hard to choose. Like, what is your favorite? You had so many big characters in a short amount of time.
yeah, it's always better when the character is a classic and it's
Yeah.
iconic, right? It's interesting. But I remember that Chewbacca was a hard one, was one of the hardest. Yeah, because they were really strict about the features of the face and they gave me a lot of feedback on that one. But yeah, the result is good, so I'm happy with that. But at the time it was like, oh, more feedback. I have to keep working on Chewbacca's face over and over again. But well, it's important to follow all the feedback and to try to do your best because I think that it's not all about you. It's not like an ego trip that you have to be like the great artist or something. You're being part of a project. You're just one more artist in a great project, and you
Sure.
have to try to your best to make it fit. It's all about the project, not about yourself.
Yeah, like you're saying too, there are so many great artists in this project. Everyone's done such an amazing job. And the other thing I really love about Star Wars Unlimited is there's so many different variations of art. Like it doesn't all
That's
look
good.
the same from set to set. Like you're what
Yeah,
you
and
put out
somehow they
there.
fit, right?
Right,
They
yeah,
are really, really
exactly.
different.
It all melts
That's
together
nice.
perfectly, and there's so many different variations of the same character, which is really cool
Yeah,
to see too. And it's a great piece of art, a whole set. You guys have all done such an amazing job on these. So between the two cards that you did have, what we've seen so far, so actually I have three that I've seen so far from you for the new set. Was there one that was
oh,
harder to create than the other? I know you talking about that original character. Was that a very hard process for you to create if you're putting together an original character, or was that another one we just kind of knew from the start? This is what I'm thinking. I'm going to go with this.
yeah. Usually, I mean, it's like more job to do when you have to design the character from the scratch because it's not like receiving like a few images and makeups and well pictures of the character. This in this case you just have like a whole idea and you have to make it up. But it's not that hard because those characters are quite simple. They don't have to be like really exaggerated
Mhm.
and to be iconic because they have to be just like a regular guy with a gun. So it's not that hard. You can just make a little bit of research about the Star Wars clothing and outfits and the features of the aliens and just to put it together and create something new but similar. So it's not that hard. Yeah,
Gotcha. And yeah, everything we've seen so far from the new set that you have coming out looks amazing. Sure, a lot of us can't wait to play
thanks.
these cards, collect these cards. Have you gotten a chance to collect all your cards?
No, not yet. I'm still waiting, but yeah, I want to have them all because it's gonna be nice to have them, because it's exciting. You never know how it's gonna look when it's released.
Sure.
So you're just working on that and you're focused on the art that you are doing, but you cannot imagine how it's gonna be after all. And it's really, really exciting. Every time that I see that one of my cards have been released, it's like, oh, this is great. Yeah.
That's awesome. You're doing a great job. Where can everyone find you on social media or websites, anything like that?
Yeah, usually I post everything in Instagram. Uh, but that's it. Yeah, I don't have many social networks actually.
Well, yeah, we'll link your
But yeah,
Instagram down below here too, so everyone can find you. Definitely follow
great.
Aitor. Great art pieces, not just Star Wars Unlimited stuff. He puts out all different types of art pieces on Instagram. Fantastic work in general. Aitor, really appreciate you taking the time today. Spend some time, reveal a couple cards with us. Really excited to get to do that with you too.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Can't wait to see what else you have coming out. I'm sure you have a lot more great cards coming out in the coming years or so. So we'll definitely look forward to those. Excited to collect your new stuff coming out here in just another month and a half or so here.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Aitor, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.